Hello everyone, welcome to Season 2 of We Love Soaps TV. I am so excited about kicking off a new year. I'm also especially excited about presenting this interview with Trent Dawson, formerly of As the World Turns. Trent is starting in a new off-Broadway play called The Revival, and he plays the son of a preacher man who is giving up the congregation, and he faces some pressure to be part of sort of the big fire and brimstone performances that the congregation wants while confronting a new drifter in town. It's a very interesting play. In this interview, Trent will talk about the play, finishing on As the World Turns, and helping to make our world a better place. Check it out. Now, some of the themes that come up in the play, my understanding, have somewhat to do with religion as well as celebrity. Is that correct?
Yeah, it does, because I think the people in the congregation see that I could be that minister, that preacher that they want, and see someone who could lead a megachurch, see someone who could go into media, and even one of the guys in the play keeps telling me, well, I haven't even talked about politics yet, and with your background, and I want nothing to do with that, but they see that in him, and he, for most of the play, is trying to avoid that sort of celebrity. He thinks that's wrong, and that it's not the right path to go down, but he is definitely tempted by it as we go through.
And I think that's really timely because, of course we live in such a celebrity culture where people who achieve a certain level of fame are seen as deities. I mean, most people I know think Lady Gaga is like the deity of all things politics, culture, music.
God, what people do you know? Who are you hanging out with?
A lot, especially the gay male community. Again, she's very politically active and she stands up for people's rights and for civil rights. But what's interesting to me is almost this God-like deference that a lot of celebrities get in our culture.
There's that, and I think there's also the obsession, and this isn't new, this isn't just with Lady Gaga, this goes way back, the obsession with fame. I know a lot of young people who say, I really want to be an actor one day, or I really want to sing, and what they really want is to be famous.
Right.
They don't want to go through the work or tell a story, they just want to be famous. There was a famous a Brit who came over in the 50s and toured all across the United States and wrote a book about it. And he said, what I discovered is that all American women want to be movie stars. And that's a real big blanket statement, but I'm reminded of that, our obsession is with being famous, and it's, and I'm not sure why, because there's a lot of garbage that goes along with that, a lot of nonsense that goes along with that. I mean, I can understand maybe wanting to be rich, but being famous, there's a lot of stuff that goes with that. It's interesting you bring up homosexuality because that is a major conflict in the play.
So do tell.
Yeah, and this young drifter is gay, and how the minister deals with that in a community that is very homophobic. How he deals with that, and what kind of questions he asks himself because of it are really sort of the spine of the play. It's less about him becoming the celebrity minister than it is about who he is, and so that's the exciting part of this little journey.
Interesting. And again, I will be there. The Revival is coming up in New York City, and I think this is definitely something that appeals to our viewers and our readers of We Love Soaps.
Yes.
And for anyone who's ever watched As the World Turns in the past 10 years, who loves your work and is already missing you. Now we're in this sort of weird interim here where your work is finished, and we still are watching As the World Turns on our screens for a few more episodes. Trent,
2 more weeks.
So talk to me about this. How are you dealing with the changes and with the loss of As the World Turns?
Okay. I mean, we had a long time to prepare for it, and I think that helped. It also, the weirdest thing was not having a structure for a little while. I mean, this play started up, the rehearsals for this started maybe a month after we stopped shooting, a month and a half. So for about a month and a half, it was like no structure, which sounds great, but after about 3 or 4 days, you're like, I'm like sleeping in, I'm not doing anything, you turn into a bum. So that was the oddest thing. But I don't know how much it's sunk in yet. We've gotten together. We're going to get together for the last Airdate. I think a lot of people from the show. For me, it's been what a great gig And it went on, supposed to go on for a few weeks. It went on for 10 years for me, for over 10 years.
I remember that.
And
so let's go back to that.
Yeah,
Back to 1999
oh my
when
God.
Henry was introduced as just, what, 3 days?
Something like that. I mean, I think I realized he was based on Addison DeWitt from All About Eve.
Uh-huh.
And Katie was my little Eve Harrington, and I was sort of Svengali that was manipulating her. And what I've said before is I think 3 major female characters went on maternity leave all within 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
So they had this storyline vacuum. So they like shoved that kid in there, and I think that's how it went down. And then it just blossomed from there. And I didn't like sign any papers or anything like that for about 5 years.
Right.
So all I knew was what was happening 3 weeks from now. So I just assumed I was going to get killed off or go to jail or something like that. And so that's been my mentality for the last 10 years, that, well, they're going to kill him off eventually if he gets into too much trouble. So the idea that it's over wasn't as if, it doesn't affect me the same way it does some other people. I miss it very much. And it was a great, great gig, but I never assumed it would go on like this.
Right.
So,
As you mentioned, you started on the show, but they didn't actually give you a contract till about 5.5 years
Yeah,
later.
something like that.
Henry just kept getting, he was either left on an island or he was
Right.
on the side, but they kept bringing him back. The fans kept demanding him back.
the fans are a huge part of that.
Yeah.
A huge part. Huge letter writing campaigns, and people like created TrentDawson.com and did all this kind of letter writing stuff. That was a big deal. I don't know. I never knew what kind of effect it had on powers that be, but it kept my name in the ether, as it were, so that I think they were eventually like, well, we gotta secure. Plus, I was going off and doing a lot of theater, which was sort of a logistical nightmare for them. So they were like, let's put them under contract. I don't want to speak for them, but let's put them under contract so that we can hold on to them here, because I was taking other jobs. So,
What do you think the appeal was? Why were the fans demanding their Henry back on their screen every time he was not around?
I don't know.
Really?
No,
what idea? What do you think?
Well,
Yes.
at first I think he was the guy you love to hate.
Uh-huh.
And that was great, and I loved playing that guy. And he was kind of easier to play early on. He was about money and about power. He would do whatever it took for money or power. Then as it went on, I don't know. And I think about that midway point when the Katie Henry stuff started, and I think why that was so interesting as opposed to a lot of other relationships you see on Daytime is that it was 5 years of friendship that were there beforehand, as opposed to this hot attraction, and then something starts happening. So we'd been through, just stranded on a deserted island. We'd been through all these crazy adventures, and then we fell in love. And I think that was something that could appeal to a lot of people, that you don't get a lot of examples of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
On Daytime. So,
Well, that's good. One of the great things about Daytime that I'm going to miss as the landscape of Daytime changes, is the ability to tell relationships in real time.
Yeah.
So that, Katie and Henry's relationship evolves over a decade, and we get to see the changes and how that goes. As opposed to like a 2-hour movie or,
Right.
a primetime show that's on 22 times a year. You get to see this every day in your living rooms.
you do, and you get to experience it too. We were just at the Paley Center talking about, we had a little panel and talking about it, and here I'm doing this play with this new creative team. I never worked with these folks before, and we're just figuring out who we are. With Katie, with Terry, I could just look at her, and I've got years and years of experience playing Henry with her, and there's so much trust there, and so it's kind of odd to be out of that sort of little trust bubble. And going, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to go here emotionally, and we'll see what happens. But with Terry, all those years really they affected you personally as well, and your ability to play the role, and other people on the show obviously as well. Katie especially, I think.
Right. Now, in any ways, has this change kind of forced you to learn or grow new things as a person, going from that comfortable environment to this new environment?
Well, this is a familiar environment to me.
Uh-huh.
Doing the theater, and even though this is a small scale, it's an off-Broadway show. I have experience with that, and
But the people, going from the people that you've known for 10 years to people who you don't know, haven't known for 10
I've been
years.
prepping myself for that, because that's how every gig is going to be. You're not going to get another gig for 10 years probably. It's unusual. I mean, even episodic television. I mean, except for Sam Waterston on Law and Order, no one's on a gig that long.
Right, right.
So you can't. I've been sort of emotionally preparing myself for the fact that I'm going to step into so many other creative situations where I don't know or have the trust that I've had. I've had a unique. Ellen Wheeler was trying to tell me about this. Producer of Guiding Line, a director on our show, an actress. She was trying to explain to me just how unique this experience was, and I was so caught up in what Barbara and Henry were doing, I couldn't think straight. We were working very hard, and I was like, yeah. She goes, no, you need to understand how special and unique working in daytime is. It's like nothing else. And she's right. And it's taken me time to sort of reflect and go, yeah, there's really nothing quite like it.
No, there's really not. And for the viewers as well, there's really not. Early on in Henry's time in Oakdale, there was a lot of speculation about his sexuality. And I remember that you kind of fed into that with some of the interviews at the time. Because we were sort of wondering, okay, what's this guy about? He's a little different from your typical male soap characters.
I agree. Part of it was the highlights I was sporting at the time. I went back and watched like a tape from 1999. I was like, what was I doing?
His attention to hair and fashion were not your typical masculine traits that we remembered from Oakdale. He stood out in that.
I asked about that early on because they didn't have a love interest for him of either gender. And some of the writing, I thought, well, this guy could be gay. And so I asked Christopher Goutman about it, and I guess CBS and Procter & Gamble, they're still pretty conservative. I think they're more conservative than he's like, no, don't do that. Play up the romance with Katie. And I said, all right, I'll do that. Well, immediately I was trying to set her up with Holden, and they weren't writing any romantic stuff, so I said, well, that's not working. So then I thought back, he wants money and power. He'll flirt with anybody to get money and power. And that's what I did. I made John Hensley so uncomfortable in certain days. I'd be like, you look so wonderful in that tux, Holden. That's just, I would flirt with anybody. It was a blast. It was the only thing I didn't like about the Katie storyline is like, oh, they made him straight. All right. Straight or gay, well, can't I just be like, you don't know? It's like so much more fun to play.
An equal opportunity person.
Yeah, flirt. Slut. Equal opportunity slut. So that was a lot of fun to just be ambiguous in that way. And it gave me a lot of freedom. I mean, it wasn't just as simple as putting on drag. It gave me a lot of freedom to just go anywhere with the character. I mean, he's very theatrical, Henry. And anytime I said, is this too big for camera? They were like, no, no, keep chewing the scenery. I'm like, all right, okay. So that was a great joy. People always ask, are you a good guy or a bad guy on the soap when you meet them in the street? And I said, well, I was neither one. But I thought about the guys that had to be sort of straight up good guys and straight up bad guys and how they would sometimes just get bored in those roles. And I never had to worry about that. It was never boring playing him, ever.
Well, I think also one of the reasons why the audiences have continued to love him and demand him back, because he didn't fit into either category. He didn't fit into an easy set of categories. He wasn't good or bad. At the beginning, he didn't seem definitely straight or definitely gay.
Right.
And he wasn't either a serious or comedic. He could do both. There was also a sweetness, and I think this is, again, what the viewers tapped into, especially at first. There was always a sweetness to him, even at the very beginning when he and Katie were conspiring at the TV station. There always seemed to be a kindness deep underneath all of that, the machinations.
I think that started to come out, that and a sense of loyalty, especially to Katie. But I think you're right, and I wasn't playing sweetness, but I think, it's one thing. We'll put Epicac syrup in Molly's sandwich and make her sick. That's one thing. But then when people start talking about killing someone, I'd be like, no, you just took it too far. And it was always, even though I'm 6'2", I was always getting the crap beat out of me by everybody. I was always the victim of violence on that show. You could talk a big talk, but I think underneath he was just a little boy. There's a little boy inside of him. I mean, the kind of guy that drinks too much and gambles and runs around and gets in all these strange little adventures. It wasn't until sort of the end of the run of the show that he really said, this is what I want. And I want this with Barbara. Because everything else was very irresponsible little boy, and there's something adorable about that,
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this relationship this last year with Barbara, with Colleen Zink, has been definitely one of the fan favorites and one of my personal favorites for both of you in the time you've been on the show. What was it about Henry and Barbara that just clicked, that made us root for them?
I don't know what made you guys root for them. I know in our demographics, there are a lot of women over 50 that were really rooting for us. I got a lot more interesting fan mail once this started.
What was the change?
Well, they're very turned on by it. They're very, very inspired by this storyline. There's the Paley Center. There was a lot more intimacy from older women than there used to be, which is great. Bring it on. Colleen and I have been wanting to work together for a long time. We had done a few things here and there, and every time we did, both have theater backgrounds, and she's incredibly professional, and
Yes.
we just clicked, the timing and things like this, in a great way, and we just kept egging them on, give us a storyline. I assumed it would be some kind of machination, as you said, some kind of snarky little deal. We're pulling the wool over someone, or going after something, and the deal goes bad. I did not expect a romantic storyline, but I'm grateful for it because it was really wonderful. Yeah.
It seemed like that affection, that genuine affection between the two of you was obvious, even when Henry and Barbara could have just been played for laughs, and they could have separated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they've really come together in ended up in a very mature, respectful, loving relationship.
Yeah, we did, and I mean, part of that comes out of the respect we have for each other. But I think I got some reactions like, I don't know if I can believe this, but I think by some people, but I think by the end they did.
Yeah. Sold it.
Yeah, we sold it.
Yeah. Any chance that we may see you and Colleen working again at some point in the future?
I hope so. We've just been, emailing because so I saw her show this summer. Did you see the
Summer Stock.
Thing, which
Absolutely.
was wonderful.
Love that.
It was wonderful.
That was so amazing.
Yeah,
She was amazing. The show was amazing.
Yeah. I would love that. It's hard to plan in this particular field. So if it's possible, sure, I'd work with her again in a heartbeat.
Right.
It was fabulous.
Right. So Trent, there's so many changes happening in the world, and certainly for daytime, the audiences are going. I know, serious question now. We're sitting here exactly 5 years after the devastating tragedy that hit New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina, and we've been reflecting somewhat this last week on the anniversary of this horrific event. You have been part of the recovery efforts, and you have been part of the healing. Can you tell me more about what you've been?
One of the early things I did is making people aware of how bad it was, because I think even what I was able to, because I had people down there that when were able to, it was days before they could get to any kind of forms of communication, and when they did, because I think the whole country was kind of in the dark, they thought the hurricane missed it, missed the city. And even our government officials, they thought, oh, it missed the city, it's okay. So
I'm going to refrain from responding to that.
There was a lot of people messed up. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'll be diplomatic about
Okay.
it. A lot of people messed up. And so I went to Goutman and I said, can I do a spot, public servants spot for Red Cross? And I don't think anyone else realized just how bad it was. He was like, yeah, okay, but keep it under 30 seconds or something like this. And he wasn't being a jerk. It's just 30 seconds of his time. And that was the first step in me realizing, I've never been in a position where I had, a minor TV celebrity could actually do something in the face of a tragedy like this. It's one thing to say raise money for the Humane Society or cancer or things that is ongoing. I never thought that I would be in a position where I go, you guys need to pay attention to this right now, and go down and help or send the money, or here's where you can go. And then I went down and worked with, I'd planned to go down earlier. A bunch of us, me and Michael Park, some folks from Guiding Light had planned to go down, and then Rita came through, Hurricane Rita. So we were stopped again from that. We eventually did get down there and were able to go to some shelters, and hopefully just by being there, just cheering some people up and that sort of thing.
What kind of work did you do once you got down there?
A lot of it was the first thing we did when we got there was you had all of these folks that had been displaced and were sleeping up in Baton Rouge, and we threw a giant dinner for them. And we had what's his name? It's an Cajun chef that came out and made like a 3-course meal for them. We're talking a couple hundred people, I want to say. I don't want to misrepresent myself. We ate great, and they ate some of the best food they've had in a long time. And then we danced. So it was just a joyous occasion because they were all stripped from their homes, from their communities, staying in cots in big auditoriums somewhere, and had been for a long time. And so just to go out and sort of party and release. And I think hopefully that's the main thing we did for them there. And we went to some other shelters down in Gonzales and other areas in southern Louisiana. Was sort of give them a release, a break from it. And the same way that a soap sometimes does in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, it gives you a break from it. And so I'm hoping we serve that purpose. I went back down later to work for Habitat for Humanity a little bit, and what was great about that is I inspired some other people, some fans and stuff, to do the same thing. That's also, I forget that I can type something up and say, hey, you guys, it's Trent, Henry, would you guys take an interest in this? I forget that there's that possibility out there.
And that your fame does have power
as
and
it
influence,
is,
such as
yeah.
the revivalist also delves into a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that help you to deal with that tragedy by helping out and going down there and inspiring others to help out? What drives you to be part of that?
Well, I don't know how much it helps me. I mean, for me, it was my state. You know, it's where I'm from. I'm from Baton Rouge, a little hour north of New Orleans, but it's where I'm from. It's the people I grew up with. So, you know, I wasn't concerned about how it was helping me. So I don't know how to answer that one. Yeah.
Well, I think your work in helping others in other countries is not unique to. Your ability to go in and do hands-on work to help others is not unique to New Orleans, if I'm correct. You've done this before in your past.
Yeah.
You've been part of helping others in your life.
Yeah, I have. I guess I feel more comfortable going in and picking up a hammer than I do it just being Henry saying, I'd rather get in there and do some caulking than tell people to do what I say you should do. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, you teach by demonstration.
I guess.
And I think you definitely have been doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Again, early on in your life, you've also done, I believe, you've picked oranges, you've worked in Greece.
That was to survive. That wasn't to help out the Greeks.
That wasn't to help. No, that was just survival.
That was to make some drachma so I could eat.
Do you think that doing something proactively to help others is a way for people to feel better or cope with a situation that might otherwise seem hopeless?
Yes, I do, and I think it's kind of a karmic wheel. We're also coming up to the 9/11 anniversary, and I'm just thinking back a few years ago, I went to a fundraiser after the tsunami down in Lower Manhattan, and these people that had lived down there organized this fundraiser to send bicycles to all these folks that had been wiped out. They said, we're doing it because the world came and helped us after 9/11. It's a karmic wheel, right? You go down because, Hurricane Earl might come up and wipe us out here in a few hours. It's not going to, but we help folks in New Orleans. They'll turn around and help us. It's that's how I look at it.
Right. A lot of times when our viewers are upset about changes in daytime or the loss of something, my response, and even in my own therapy practice, my loss is, to do something helpful.
Yeah.
Because rarely times when you see people actively engaged and being proactive and helping, are they, in that moment, depressed. They usually do not go together. Very
true, and it takes the focus off yourself and the why me and poor me and why me. That's a little spiral that goes down and your ego goes crazy. If you want to talk about how it can help you, it can get you at, I refer to it as don't stand in your own fart. So get out of that smell.
For life, yeah.
It's an acting term. It is, I'm not kidding.
So then as we come across the end of As the World Turns, and people are watching this and they're feeling sad about the loss, they're feeling grief, they're feeling loss for the show, which has been, they're losing Henry after 10 years, and for many of our viewers, they've enjoyed As the World Turns for many more decades than that. What piece of advice might you give, or what might you say to people that are going through grief and loss about this now?
You're the therapist, I don't know. I don't know.
But they're going to listen to you because you're more famous than I am, so they're going to listen to you, or they're going to listen to me. Just like
I was struck by this event at the Paley Center.
Yeah.
How affected people are by this. I think it's not just that they're losing their show; it's that they're losing the mom show and the grandmother show. This goes back 3 generations, and that's what's affecting them. It goes back to not just I really like this show and it gave me a break in the afternoon, or it made me think about things. It's that I was on my mother's knee when we watched this. And that's the uniqueness, again, of daytime, especially a show like this. How you deal with that grief, I don't know, because it is like having, old family albums destroyed. I don't know how to tell people to deal with it. I mean, that's you saying this, and what I saw at the Play Center, when I'm getting feedback from people, I'm realizing just the depth of it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was like, hey, the show went off the air. Law and Order's going off the air. Not the same thing. It's something much deeper and generational.
It is. What I often tell people too is that they can take away the show, they can't take away your memories, and they can't take away your heart.
Great. That's lovely.
And so, you know,
It's
the
a great
memories.
mantra. That's the mantra. That's how you deal with it. That's how you deal with the grief.
You know, and it's true. And again, thanks to technology and thanks to YouTube and thanks to the internet out there, so many of these clips, the older clips, the newer clips, are preserved. And Henry's still out there in Cyberland.
Oh God, I know, it's
awful. All those shows are still out
the
there.
year 2000, like, what is he doing?
You know, I also have a phrase that I use, that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So the pain of losing someone or something that we love is inevitable because we're human, and if we're going to love and care about people, we're going to lose things. There's nothing permanent on this earth.
Change is the only constant.
Change is the only constant. The suffering is something that we do have some control over.
Right.
The suffering comes from telling ourselves this shouldn't happen, this is so terrible, this is the end of the world as we know it.
Right.
And yet, as we're talking about Katrina and we're talking about so many other work, it sounds like there's ways that people can recognize this isn't the end of the world. There's ways to help. The world goes on. To be, not pun included, with As the World Turns, you know, that world's not going to go on.
No.
But the world that we inhabit together and the world that connects us is still going to go on. And there's still ways that people can make that something good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just come across this phrase, it's gonna be better a month from now.
Yeah.
It looks really bad now, and then a month from now it's gonna look a little bit different.
Yeah.
I remember that one a lot when stuff goes down, you know? Bad stuff goes down, so yeah.
That's true. Now, after Guiding Light ended, a lot of the cast got together for fan events and did a So Long Springfield tour, which has been going on and on and on wonderfully for the past year.
It's like
I think
like
it
the
just
Eagles retiring.
I know. This is like Cher's farewell to Springfield tour. But it's really given the fans and the viewers a chance to have some closure and talk to the actors and share these stories about their grandmothers and the experiences in their life. Are there any plans or thoughts about As the World Turns doing that?
You know, I think the same people that have organized that are starting to approach folks. I was approached. I think we're just waiting for Guiding Light to stop so we can start. No, I'm kidding. They're taking up all the venues. No, I'm doing a guiding thing with Bradley Cole. I'm doing the rock show on the 9th. I think there are plans for that. I loosely at this point. There is an organization that puts those together. And I think that would be something really enjoyable. I mean, I've done a lot of fan events on the show. As far as a goodbye event, if the desire is out there for that to happen, I can see doing it. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, if there's a desire.
Well, one thing too that I think people can do is to come to see you in The Revivalist.
Yes.
And
the Revival, not the Revival.
I'm sorry, The Revival. The Revival.
Revival.
The Revival, to come see you in The Revival. And I'm guessing, because you have worked with so many actors over the last 10 years, and you are very well liked by them, if I do say so myself, which we know is not always the case, I'm guessing that a lot of your friends and past co-stars are going to be in the audience coming to see The Revival as well.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so. I mean, I hope it's good.
I hope someone comes.
I have confidence right now. We'll see after our first preview.
But is it possible that when people come that they may actually end up sitting next to Colleen or Terry or someone you worked with?
I'm sure. I know Colleen's going to be there. She's been talking about it since I first got cast, like a month ago. So Colleen will be there, and I'm sure Terry will be there, and Austin, and all those guys. I'm sure there'll be a good Michael Park. When he's done, he's all doing theater all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a possibility. Yeah.
Great.
If you don't want to see me, just come and sit next to somebody from the show.
So come see The Revival, so you get to see Trent in a role that uses your comedic ability. Now, I understand this is not a musical, though.
No, it's not a musical. And I would say there's a lot more drama involved with me than comedy.
But you do both, and that's what I'm saying. Even when you're doing drama, you still lend comedy to it. And I think that's part of what makes you so engaging as an actor, and why this has worked so well in daytime, because your drama still has a little flint of... you still have a little humor in your eyes.
Laughing through the tears.
Something like that. And again, fans who are missing As the World Turns really want to come support these events, these fan events, and the plays and the creative efforts by the people that were so involved in that. I think that's a way to stay connected as well and to keep this energy going.
Absolutely. And yeah, do come see it. I mean, it's a very interesting script, and I think for your audience as well, it's going to be very... I find it very interesting, and I like it. So do come.
If you could go back to 1999 and starting on As the World Turns, giving yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Wow. One piece of advice. you don't have to try that hard. I tried very hard. I cared a lot about doing the right thing. You don't have to be perfect, let's put it that way.
I love that.
I wanted to be perfect all the time. I mean, perfect in my execution, perfect. One of my mottos was, no one's getting overtime when I'm acting. It's like, first take or whatever.
Yeah.
I know what I'm supposed to do, and I want to be really good at it. I would give myself a break, because I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more instead of walking off going, God, the moment didn't go in daytime. They're like, well, it worked for us, so we have to get going. We can't go back and go, can we reshoot that? I didn't really feel it that time or whatever. I would give myself a break.
You relaxed a little, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe some less shoulds?
Less shoulds. I would have gotten rid of some of the shoulds. You should have done this and you should have done that. I'd be like, shut up. No, I don't. I shouldn't do anything. No.
Are you able to take that into your creative work now?
Yes.
Sort of that wisdom?
Yeah, I am. And I think towards the end of As the World Turns, I was as well. There was a tipping point where I said, you've either got to relax, stop pressuring yourself to be perfect all the time, or you're going to just explode. Yeah. And once I did that, I found it's sort of that Al-Anon thing, love with detachment. I found that I could love my job and do all the things I did before, but not throw my entire heart and it's not take it home with me. Right. You know what I mean? And that actually made it more pleasurable. And so I'm able to do that with this too. I'm constantly thinking about this role in this play. I have a lot of responsibility in the show, but I'm not beating myself up about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Important life lessons. So we're talking about living, relaxing, living without shoulds, and getting involved, helping others. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling hopeless about the situation on daytime or anything in your life, getting involved is such a powerful way to work through that.
It is. It's a wonderful way.
Is there anything that I have not asked you that you want our viewers or readers of We Love Soaps to know about you and about your life right now?
No, we've covered this extensive interview. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
No, not at the moment. I think I miss the show, but I'm enjoying this time. Yeah, I'm enjoying this time.
The one thing that I've talked to a year later with so many of the actors from Guiding Light is that, of course, they miss the show and they miss their family, but it's really propelled them creatively to do different things, to try different things, to do theater or to do comedy or music or to do something that they may not have tried to do otherwise if they had just had the constant job.
I think that's true. I think, I mean, as much as I enjoy playing Henry, it can become it can be grinding during certain periods, and the last thing you're thinking about is other creative outlets, because you are just so focused on, I got 6 scenes today, and I got 40 pages of dialogue, and so you become really narrowly focused creatively. Now it's like, the world's my oyster, I can go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah. Might that include another soap at some point?
It might. I'm not. If they quit leaving New York, that would be great. But no, I absolutely. I mean, we'd have to see what it was, but I wouldn't turn that down. No.
All right.
It's a great gig.
Trent Dawson at We Love Soaps TV. You're awesome, man.
You're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right.